All right. So hope everyone's here to learn some tips and tricks for Civil 3D 2021. That's what we're going to be using today. Um, uh, we're going to be talking about some viewport creations, some pretty simple stuff, but really about those viewports, what we can do with them, some useful commands. So I'll be dabbling in some useful commands inside this large viewport creation portion. Um, and then we're going to do some system variables. We're going to talk about a CTC um, tools and some hardware stuff. My name's Patrick Smith, technical specialist here at ATG. Been doing this for about 4 years or so. I have some pretty good general IT knowledge. I came from an IT background before I started doing what I'm doing now. I have 1 year Revit experience too. Not too much knowledge behind Revit, but I got a little bit. And then hobbying, I like to do 3D modeling and 3D printing as well. Again, what are we going to be doing here? We're going to be looking at viewport creation starting off with. We're going to have useful commands. Feel free to take a screenshot of this so you know what the commands that we're using here. And then we're going to be doing some system variables. I'm going to look at a free third-party tool from CTC software, pipe swappers. And then I'm going to show you a real quick hardware tool. We were supposed to go over dynamic block creations, but I don't believe we're going to have too much time to throw that in there. So if you came here for that dynamic block creations, I apologize. I want to make a webinar completely surrounded by all it is dynamic blocks. So stay tuned to that. I also have a previous video on our YouTube page that I have gone over a quick dynamic block creation as well. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in here. I'm going to open up Civil 3D 2021. Also, I do want to say if you have any questions, go ahead and throw it in chat, throw it in question and answer. I'll try to get to them. I'm not feeling 100% today, so if I do happen to miss it, I will throw up my email address right up at the end of this here, and send me an email with your question. I'm gonna get to it as soon as I can with whoever in line, whoever comes first. So I will answer all the emails get sent to me after this webinar for any questions that you might have. All right, so here I just have a simple title block. Got a couple of rectangles here, squares, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to make me a circle here as well. Some people don't know that you can actually create a viewport from a circle. So starting off with just regular rectangle command here and a circle command. But if you're inside your layout tab here, you can go over. Some of you may have less tabs, maybe you might have more tabs. But if you click on the double arrow here, right over here on the right, you'll be able to get to the rest of your selections. So I'm going to go to Layout, Tools. Inside of Layout Tools here, on the far left, you have Layout Viewports panel. You can go to click on the drop down here, and this is how you can create your viewports. Today, we're going to use Object. However, you can use Polygon, which then you can just draw your viewport how you want. Rectangle is pretty self-explanatory. You're just going to draw a rectangle. It's going to create a viewport. I think that's the most common one used. Today we're going to use Object Viewport because we're going to select these two rectangles and circle here to create a viewport. So select Object. Select that. I'm going to hit spacebar to repeat my command. Well, it may not let me do that. I'm going to click Object again. There, and then Object here. There we go. Simple, easy peasy. You can do this with any shape. All right, go back to your layout here, your layout tools. Layout and layout tools are just about the same thing. You get the same panel here, whether you click on layout or layout tools. You're wondering that. Oval shapes, there you go. Some of this is very basic, but a lot of people don't really know that function right there. Creating object or creating viewports from the objects that you create. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is the first command that is going to allow me to rotate my viewports. Okay. Now, a lot of people that I hear from that have been doing this for a while use the detwist command. I don't use that. This is the command that I use is called align space. I find it to be a little bit more useful. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to type in align space while we're here inside of the layout tab, and we're going to go to, we're going to select the viewport that we want to use. If you have multiple, it's going to have you select which one you want to use. So I'm going to use this one right here. Okay. If you only have one viewport, it's going to automatically select it. Pretty easy. All right. So align space is going to be my first alignment inside the model. So what I like to do, let's say I'm trying to get this roadway to be left to right on this viewport. So north to south to be left to right on this viewport. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to find a location. You can also draw a line. A lot of times you might want to use an alignment because an alignment will go straight down the middle of this port here. I don't have one right now, so I'm just going to pick this line right here. It's a center line going down here. I'm going to pick the bottom of this center line right here. Turn off my selection cycling. It will be easier if you have this selection cycling turned off. All right. Now in paper space, it's going to ask you from what point are you going to do it? And I want to go north to south, going from left to right. So my model space, I picked my first point from the north and I went to the south. From paper space, I'm going to pick from left to right. This is very crucial because if I did it from right to left, I would have my north being over here on the right-hand side of my viewport. I want my north to be on the left-hand side, going left to right. So I'm just going to pick the bottom of this, or I could pick the middle of it here, from left to right, and hit space. All right, so now my north is over here on the left, as you can see from the wheel here. All right, and the only thing is that make sure that after you use this command, you are going to have to rescale it. So leave scaling and all that for the viewports until after you get your orientation of your viewport down. I am going to just do 1 to 30 here. Let's see. 1 to 20. Yeah, that'll work. That'll do. Lock my viewport here. All right. So next here, I'm going to do it one more time, except I am going to just do the top, or I'm going to go from south to north. And I'm going to have the south over here on the left, and I'm going to have north over here on the right. I'm going to do align space. Ask me what viewport I want to pick. I want to do this viewport here, so I'm selecting inside of it. Zoom on into that location there. Usually, again, I'm going to be in alignment. Don't have one. To that spot, and then I'm going to go left to right. Space bar. Now you have your south to the left and you're going north to the right. Okay. Again, fix your viewport however you see fit. Unlock my viewport. There are some text commands that I want to show you in here that I have recently found that are pretty interesting. So I'm going to come here to check out, let's do just a simple multi-line text. Okay, that. Normally I'd have all that capitalized, but we're just showing you what this can do. All right, inside text here with annotations, everyone, you know that you can have different annotative scales. All right, pretty well known. You can do your different annotation scales here and then select what you want. I'm just going to add a few to show you what I'm trying to talk about here. It's going to have ghosting behind it of all these texts that are added to it. 1 to 50, 1 to, and 1 to 40. All right, hit OK. Notice you have all this ghosting here. If this bothers you as much as it does me, this next command here is going to be a godsend to you. So I'm going to type in selection anno display. All right. After you get most of it, you can hit enter or select it. So right now, the selection anno display is set to 1. We want to set this to 0. Now when you click on your text, it's not going to have all that ghosting behind it. And you can select it, all your text, and it's not going to have a whole bunch of ghosting behind it of all of the annotation scaling. This is very useful to me. All the annotations available are still going to be, let's see, click here. They're still all going to be there. You just don't see the ghosting. So, it still works through the viewports just fine. All that does is just turn off ghosting for that text. All right, the next thing I want to show you is the change space command. So I'm going to get rid of this viewport here because I don't want to use it anymore. All right. Let's say I'm trying to find the exact location. Now this can be, this is very useful for sheet cutting your sheets up. I want to find the exact location of where this box is in model space. All right. So I'm going to take change my, let's just do Gianna. I know my layers aren't exact on this, forgive me. All right, but I'm gonna draw a box over top of my viewport here. I'm gonna use a command called ch space. That's essentially change space. So if you ever hear anybody say use change space command, ch space is that command. All right. Select my objects. I'm going to select my purple rectangle that I just created. Space bar. It's going to ask me what viewport I want to go into. And again, if I have multiple viewports here, you can select either one. I'm using this viewport, so we're fine here. Hit space bar again. Double click outside of your viewport. Go into your model space here. And boom. In your model space, that is where your viewport is showing. All right. This can be very useful for where your sheets are. You can now, if you have a certain size viewport that you want to use for all of your sheets, well, now you have that. You can change, figure out what your sheets are going to look like by copying, lay out your sheets per the viewport size. All right. The other interesting thing that you can do with that is you can put your match lines in. Some people put their match lines in through model space, or put their match lines on paper space. Some people do it in model space, so you know where it is. But let's say I'm going to put my match line right here. All right, let's make a copy of that. So now there's two of them. I'm going to do ch space here. Yes, that's the viewport I want to go to. So now we come in here, match line is created. Now you know where the first sheet starts and the next sheet begins. Or yeah. Change space is a very useful tool that I use quite often. All right, let's see. We're gonna head over to our next guy over here. And if anybody have any questions, I'm going a little bit quick here. My throat's starting to hurt, so I'm trying not to spend dabble too much time on things, but I will answer questions as they come through. So here has the one thing that with XREFs that bothers me the most, I would say, especially when I was starting off, is something called unreconciled layers. All right. Whenever I go to print, it's always popping up telling me I need to reconcile my layers before I can print. Yada yada. It's the biggest annoyance of my life when it comes to XREFs. So I went and found a special variable to go ahead and turn those off, so I don't have to worry about them. Some people like having the reconcile layers, so they know what layers are coming through. Me, I don't. I don't really like it. So here I'm gonna throw in a XREF. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about with if you're not sure what unreconciled layers are. Okay, so choose my external reference. I just have a couple lines here and a fake building. Hit OK. Throws in my XREF. If you go to your layer properties manager here, in your filters, you'll see unreconciled layers. There'll be an entire list of all the layers that XREF brings in. All right, and a lot of times you have to maybe select one, do like a Control A, and then you're gonna have to do reconcile layers. Well, that's a step that I really don't like taking all the time. Sometimes I get a little fast and I forget to do that. And then I go to my print layout here and this pops up. Unreconciled new layers exist in the drawing. Oh, well, now I have to, that's just an annoying pop-up that I don't want to have to deal with anymore. So I'm going to remove this, delete, detach. I'm going to type in the command line here. Let's see, layer notify. All right, that's my first command. What this layer notify is going to do, there's a little pop-up sometimes that pops up down here on the bottom right-hand side. And it'll be a pop-up bubble saying you have unreconciled layers, yada, yada, just notifying you. Well, I know that because I've been doing this for a while. I know that there's going to be unreconciled layers. I don't need you to tell me every single time. So I'm going to turn that to 0. All right. The next command you're going to want to do is layer eval. And then, so there's two options here, layer eval CTL. I always use layer eval CTL. I think they do the same thing. You turn either one to 0, it's going to do the same thing. So I'm going to take that layer eval CTL, turn it to 0. All right, now we go ahead and XREF in that previous drawing that I had before. All right, so first thing I want to show you, go to my plot. No pop-up anymore, doesn't need it. If I go to my layer properties manager, no longer unreconciled layers here anymore. Oh, get out of here. Unreconciled layers are no longer here. We don't need to reconcile them anymore. They are still going to be inside of your non-XREF layers, or all used XREF layers. You can also access those XREF layers through your XREF palette right here, or your filter. So if you are wondering what are those layers that I brought in, well, you can go to your XREF filter here, go to the DWG that is bringing in those layers, and you can get all that information still right here. You just don't have the headache of it telling you all the time that unreconciled layers need to be reconciled. All right. So the next thing I want to show you is a cool command. It's called, hopefully maybe some of you are aware of it, but it's a copy command called ncopy. So what does ncopy do? It takes a line work from an XREF and it copies it into your current drawing. All right. So let's say this building here, I want the same exact shape building, and I want that building in my drawing here for whatever reason. I mean, use your imagination why you would want to use this. I use it for line work to get the same line work into current drawing for whatever reason. I'm going to do ncopy, spacebar. I'm going to select that line work that I want to bring in. I'm going to hit spacebar again. And now I can bring that line work into my current drawing. And do copy, and I can copy that around to whatever I see fit. So that is ncopy, copies line work from an XREF, brings it into current drawing without having to go into your XREF and copying it from there. All right. I will have all these, before I close down a little bit, I will pop up these commands and system variables so that if you forgot to take a screenshot or forgot what the variable was, I will have that up for a minute before we end here, so that you can get the commands down. All right, the next one that I want to talk about is it's called line work crop. So recently I was at a consulting place and someone asked me, how do what if I just want to, I have this huge project. All right, this project was massive. It was miles and miles long, but all they wanted was just a section like this. They didn't want all that other information. So how do you get rid of all that other information? Well, I'm going to use this intersection right here as an example, but typically you would probably use this for something of this sort of size here. All right, so line work crop is simply like a trim command. All right, but I think it works a lot better than having to trim a whole bunch of lines here and all that. So I'm going to draw a box. And also, again, I want to preference that this line work crop only works on polylines and lines, I believe. It's not going to work on survey line or survey feature lines. Kind of has to be on the same level, so you're going to want to use it on a base file or something where everything is on the same elevation, from what I could tell so far. So this has its point, but yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it won't work, depending on what you're trying to crop out. So I have my box there. All I want to see in this entire drawing is this intersection here. I'm going to expand this a little bit. No, I'm not. All right, these are feature or they're points, Togo points. So these will not get erased. Again, survey features and stuff like that will not get erased, but all this is line work. So this will get erased. So I'm going to do line work crop. All right, it's going to ask me what I want to crop. So I'm going to select everything here. All right, now select the boundary, see if this works. All right, there we go. So with line work crop, I hit spacebar a couple times, selected all the work, and then I selected what I wanted to crop to. From there, you can delete that polyliner on the outside, and all you have left is your intersection or whatever piece of information that you're wanting to crop down to. So that is a nice, helpful tool sometimes, but again, it only works on certain things. Also, this tool is only in Civil 3D. So if you are here and you're using AutoCAD, English version or whatever, it's not in AutoCAD, it's in Civil 3D. And I believe it goes at least all the way back to 2019 version, line work crop. So I'm using 2021. I know it's in 2020, and I'm pretty sure it's at least in 2019. So. All right, the next thing I want to show you on the list here, zoom factor. So this is a real quick variable, system variable. Now your zoom factor, how you zoom in and out. Let's say you want to type in, or we're going to type in zoom factor. Now, default for zooming is at 60. It's a variable 60. If you want to have your zoom go in a little bit slower, you're going to lower that number. Let's go down to 20. All right. So 20 to me is a good number for zooming in. It does take a little bit longer to zoom in, but you don't have that giant jump of zooming. So let's lower it down even further so you can get an idea. So you can only go down to level or factor of 3. Anything below 2 or 1 is not a factor. So no, it's between 3 and 100. So let's go down to 5. And you'll be able to see zoom factor 5. Takes a little bit to get in there. Zooming in and out on your mouse wheel. I'm gonna turn that back to the default, which is 60. You notice the zoom goes in and out really quick. All right. So that is zoom factor, system variable. On my work, I have my workstation here. It's usually set to about 20, 30 zoom factor. So 60 just jumps too much for me. I accidentally hit it and I zoom in too fast. So that will be zoom factor. Next up, we're going to talk about CTC pipe swapper. Okay. So I like to talk about the free tools that come with CTC tools. So all you have to do is sign up for a free trial of CTC tools, and then you get anything in the light green here, you get for free, and you get to keep it. All right. After your trial ends, you still get to keep these green tools. We're going to be talking about pipe swapper today. If you have, if you work with a lot with pipes, this is a big benefactor for you to give it a shot. Just give it a go and see what you can do with it. So let's say that these pipes here, well, I need to change my pipe network here from 24. We need to change all of them to 48 inch. Okay. So I'm going to select, I'm going to do part swapper. I'll select this first pipe here. I'm going to hit OK. And I can actually do by entire network, and I do my entire network here. I want all my pipes here to be 48 inch. So I can come down here to replace pipe. I'm going to do concrete pipe, and I want all my pipes to be 48 inch. Again, also, since I have my structures selected, I can also change these as well. You can do by selection, you can select the individual ones, multiple, it'll change them all out at once rather than you having to come in here and doing every single part individually by out of the box methods. So if I want to change my structure here, let's go to let's change everything to 48-inch manhole. All right, okay. Oh, so this is a known bug here in the part swapper that my catalog has to be updated here. So let me see if I can. I'm gonna skip the structure here. Do not change. There we go. It does the same thing for the structure. I just have to update my parts catalog in my 2022. All right, so 48-inch, you can notice, you see all of them change to 48-inch. You can do it in profile view or you can do it in plan view. That's why I have two different ones set up here. All right, so either one the part swapper works in. So that's part swapper. It's pretty self-explanatory, free tool. Swap your parts rather than having to go in here and change each one individually. You know, part swapper can save a lot of time. All right. So the next thing I want to show you is a little bit of hardware that I personally believe speeds up my work process tenfold. And that is having these macro keyboard or mice or both. I personally use this Razer macro keyboard here. I have set these macros up inside um, the setup tool wizard for this keyboard. And as you can see here, hopefully you can see it pretty well. I even have minus purge in, so I can purge out certain things. And then I have my audit here, rotate, copy. I've been using this keypad the whole time I've been doing this webinar, except for obviously typing out commands that I don't have in here. But all my basic ones that I use all the time are going to be on this keypad. Now, like I said, I have the Razer one shown here, but any other one, I'm not really endorsing this product. I think it's a fantastic product, but it's so yeah, maybe I would endorse it. Other keypads would do the same thing. Some of them have more or less buttons. Some of them look. This keypad actually looks like portion of your keyboard. All these keypads are you can change all the buttons out inside the software. The mice also you can get. You can go to your game Best Buy or whatever and find these. Look in the gaming hardware of your computer store and just get one of these macro keys. Keep mice, and you can program all these keys here to do the same thing that this keypad is doing if they have enough buttons. Some of these have a round keypad to it, so maybe you only need about 8 macros. Some of them have up to 12. So yeah, I use this every day on my production work keypad. So speeds up processes rather than typing everything out. And I also like to try to keep mine default so I don't apply macros or I don't create aliases on my keyboard inside Civil 3D. So other than that, we are wrapping up here. I want to show you that this video or this webinar will be up on the YouTube page of ATG USA. You can also get our link, go to atgusa.com and get to the CTC software panel or software from there. There's CTC software tools as well on the YouTube channel here. So other than that, I'm leaving up the questions. And then I did say that I would bring up these commands again. So I'm going to bring that over. And if you want to copy these commands down, it's ncopy that I used today. I did ch space, which is change space, aligns the viewports the way you want them. Line work crop, unreconciled layers, system variables. That was layer notify. I'm sorry, I don't have it spelled out here, but that is layer notify and layer eval CTL. And then, yeah, so those are the couple of zoom factor system variables. So take a screenshot of that and post any questions if you have them. And then while waiting for questions here, go ahead and wrap up this. If you do have questions, email me here at psmith@atgusa.com. I will, I'm probably going to take the next half of this day off as I'm not feeling too hot, have a temperature and all that. So, but up until about 2 hours from now, hour and a half, I will be answering any questions that come through at my email here. And then whatever I don't get to after that, I will answer them tomorrow when I get in. So, and for that, I want to say thank you guys for stopping in on today's webinar. I know it was a little short. I will be trying to create a new one for the dynamic blocks in here in the future as well. So if you came for the dynamic blocks, I apologize. There is a video of me showing dynamic blocks up on YouTube. So, but I will also be trying to create a new webinar here specifically on dynamic blocks at some point. So stay tuned. And with that, the annotation command. Good. Thank you for showing. I forgot to, it's going to be select anno display. Selection anno display is the command prompt for that. And you're going to turn it from 1 to 0. No problem. All right. And I'm going to answer this question here real quick. I push it and set next. Hazika, can you send me that question in an email by chance? And because I don't have an answer for that right now, so I'm going to research that question and then I can get back to you when I have that answer. So feel free to send that to my email and I'll track down the information for that. And then, but yeah, thanks everybody for coming in, and I will leave this up silently for about 1 minute so everybody can copy down the email if they need to. So 1 minute and then I'll close down the room.